Join the Twitchiest community $500 cash giveaway, guys, by using the link in the description down below. One grand prize winner will win $500, and 3 second place winners will go away with a Monstercat Battle Pass. So check it out in the description down below, and the winners will be picked on June 30th. So stay tuned for the winners. Everybody, and welcome to your Thor jungle guide. So we're going to be starting off, of course, with our Eye of the Jungle, bringing ourselves into our tier 1 mace, couple of health pots, and a Hand of the Gods. It would be nice to be able to get Baron's Brew, but we've only got 100 gold, so we got to get the HP pots instead. And then for our active on Thor, we're actually going to get beads instead of blink. Thor, one of the few junglers that doesn't really need blink at all. By the nature of his ultimate and hammer, he's got some pretty good movement. So traditionally, we get a more defensive active on him, which is usually got to be beads, especially against a god like Daji, who is just waiting for an opportunity to give you the yoink. So we're going to be starting off actually with a point in our Berserker Barrage. It's not going to be the ability that we max out first, but it is going to be the ability that we grab here at level 1 to help out with our clear. Now this ability's cooldown is actually pretty low, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my hog here on the speed buff and my ability, because it's gonna be back up by the time I go up here to this second camp. And by the time I get ready to go to the mid lane for that swift rotation, I imagine the Merlin's going to be standing too far back to go for the gank anyway. That's fine, but it should let me come right over here and hopefully just grab these mid harpies. Just like that. So Thor right now is probably the worst that he's ever been, which is not to say that he's a bad god, but historically Thor has been like top 3 junglers in the game at all times. And this is really the first time in a hot minute that he's not one of those top end junglers. His damage is decent. He can still have that nice burst, especially if you find yourself in a lead early. Maybe you get a first blood or something. But his damage is not at all, and his pressure around the map is just not what it used to be. Other guys with global pressure like Thanatos are doing much better right now. Ratatasker even as well. So I'm gonna grab a second point here into my spin. Not a lot of fighting going on. The second point in your spin tends to help a lot clear out those side harpies. So you can see right there, it's gonna instantly clear those side harpies, which means I do not have to worry about them in terms of auto attacks, which makes your clear go a little bit faster. You don't always have to do the second point into Berserker Barrage. You can either put another point into your hammer right here, or even get your stun if you're going for those early fights. But if there doesn't seem to be any fights happening, I like to get that second point into the Berserker's Barrage just to help with that early clear, and then we'll go into leveling actually our hammer to max after this. Gonna of course get my stun here at level 4, then we'll grab our ultimate at level 5. Also gonna grab myself a mana pot. Thor is pretty mana hungry. At some point I do want to make sure I get that Baron's Brew. Once again, don't have enough gold for it though. Got to get my tier 2 boots going so we can start working ourselves into Warrior Tabi. But especially because you're gonna be going Eye of the Jungle for that early jungle pressure and that early gank potential. You're gonna have some mana issues, so I'd recommend grabbing yourself a mana pot on your backs. There's nothing wrong with that. With the Eye of the Jungle meta, you're gonna end up grabbing yourself a couple of potions here and there. Now that I'm level 5, I can actually start looking for some ganking opportunities. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get myself over into that duo lane and look for a fight over there. Horizon seems to think that there's some people over there at the oracles. There is. I'm actually gonna ulti right here. I'm gonna go looking for that Daji because she's level 4. I'm gonna go try to land right on him. Gonna hit him with my little combo, and this should be enough to go ahead and grab ourselves that first blood or first blood in. So that ultimate kind of brings us into our standard Thor damaging combo. And that is going to be our ultimate to start, of course. We're going to ulti. We're hopefully going to hit a target. Always very important to mention. You're going to try to hit a target. After you hit them, your combo is going to be auto attack 1, 2, auto attack 1. So you want to try to be getting in these auto attacks in between your abilities, but you also have to keep in mind your total length of your stun. So traditionally, you're going to want to land on them. You're going to want to auto attack immediately because we are going to be going into a Hydras. Thor is a great user of those Hydras procs. But you also have to keep in mind your total stun duration time. So we're going to try to land on him with the ult. Then we're going to try to auto, hammer, immediately traditionally follow up with that stun, even though we've got the Hydras proc ready, because our ultimate stun is probably going to be running out. And then we can auto attack him one more time, and you've still got Berserker's Barrage up at the very end if you need it. But basically, we want them sitting still for when the hammer is coming back. Of course, you get way more damage on the return part on the hammer than you do on the actual part of the hammer going out, as long as you get that nice little double tap whammy kablammy. So our build on Thor is going to be focused around power and CDR. Pretty common jungle items that you'll be seeing right now. So we'll be going right into this game. It's probably going to be a Brawler's Beat Stick. I'm going to look for an ulti right here over onto the Wukong. Going to wait for the dash. Hopefully I can reach. Not quite going to be able to reach, but I do reach him with my 2-1 combo. And so even though he was just out of the range of the ulti, we're still going to be able to get that kill with all of our CC between Thor and Tyr. So normally you would want to get yourself a Jotun's Wrath and give you some mana. It would give you some CDR, but this game they actually do have a decent bit of healing, particularly with the Emoda. But they've also got Cupid healing. They've also got the fact that Wukong is going to be sustaining as well. He's probably going to get a Soul Eater. So I'm going to go ahead and get myself into the early Brawlers to help cut off their healing. And then I'm going to get myself probably into a third item, Transcendence, for the extra mana. That way we'll never have to worry about our mana consumption. We talked about earlier how Thor does have mana problems. Pretty bad mana problems, in fact. But if we get that Transcendence online, it's going to give us a little bit of CDR. A ton of power for the follow-up. And that mana that we so desire on Thor as well. If you don't want to go the Transcendence, that's fine. You can take yourself directly into a Hydra's Lament, and you can skip it altogether. I do recommend skipping the Transcendence if you're finding yourself behind. If you're behind, Transcendence can be kind of an awkward item in the jungle, but if you're ahead or even, I recommend the Transcendence, just because it's going to better have you prepared for the late game. But you know, some games you're ahead, some games you're behind. That's what happens. You got to be ready for both. You know what I'm saying? Can't always just have one build, one static thing. You got to be ready to mix it up on the fly. So now that we've actually gotten our points in row 1, that official level order for Thor to max is going to be 1, 4, 3, 2. So we maxed out our hammer. Pretty obvious. Lots and lots and lots and lots of damage on the hammer. I'm going to wait for this Ox. I waited for the Ox to run out. He knew it. He popped his beads. He popped his ult. He's going to be able to live here, but that's fine. That's a good trade. And now I can back up and get my Brawlers. After we level up the hammer to max, we level up our ultimate. This is mostly for the CDR above all else. Gonna grab myself a couple of wards to throw out and help in the jungle. Then we level up our 3 for the damage, and finally the 2. The 2 does increase the stun duration and lower the cooldown, but that 1 second on the stun should be enough for you to hit your hammer combo.
Your right tower
with the notable exception if the enemy has a lot of diminishing returns on them because they've been CC'd a lot lately. It might actually be slightly not enough. So just keep that in mind. I saw Cupid over in left lane, so I'm gonna call for the gank left lane right here. It's gonna kind of wait. He throws down his ultis. I'm gonna land right on top of him. I'm actually not gonna use my hammer here. I'm gonna wait just in case he tries to dash away. He does, but I don't even actually need to follow up with the hammer right there because the team has the kill. So in that situation, instead of landing and going right into the hammer, I didn't know if Cupid was gonna be able to bead or not. I knew that he had his dash up because I saw him specifically not use it. So I didn't want to use my hammer and then have him bead and then not be able to use my hammer as a follow-up skill. So instead I just land down. I started just doing some auto attacks, waiting for him to dash so I can follow up if need be. If a character doesn't have a dash and they can't get away, then obviously you can just go right into your full hammer combo. Your what? Your hammer combo every single time because there's no worries. You don't actually have to use your hammer as a chasing skill. Now we're gonna start working on that Transcendence, and once we get that Transcendence online, we'll never actually have to worry about
Your right tower is under attack.
our mana again. So on Thor, your big power spike is gonna come at level 9. Level 9 is probably when you're the strongest. It's when you're gonna have all of your points into your hammer, and your hammer combo at that point, not impossible for it to do 500-600 damage to a squishy if you hit them with that full combo. So this is really your prime time looking for ganks. So I'm gonna go right there for the Cupid. You can see how much damage that just did. I'm gonna follow up on top of that Cupid ult with an ulti of my own. Try to land down right onto the dodgy. I do hit her, but she uses her bead. So she's gonna be able to get out of that one. So you can see right there, that hammer combo. Wow, that's hard for me to say today. Probably did like 60%, 70% of Cupid's health. That will not last for forever, so we want to abuse the amount of time that we have this basically big power spike by consistently going for ganks. Earlier in the game, you're going to be focused a little bit more on farming, which is why we got the 2 points early into our Berserker's Barrage. So we could go ahead and farm those camps easier, get to that level 9 point a little bit faster. Now I need to back up, get my second active. On Thor, you've basically got two options for your second active. You can either grab yourself an Aegis, just kind of be a selfish active, be playing a little bit more for yourself, or you can actually get a team fight active. This is especially useful in games where you need to get a weird second active. So your support is probably going to want to get like Sunder Blink, right? Like those are the traditional support relics. But maybe you need an Ankh to deal with a bunch of healing the enemy team has. Maybe you need a Phantom in order to get away from a team that has a bunch of walls that they're making, right? They've got an Odin and a Ymir on their team. You do have those options with Thor, which is nice because you basically have a free active slot because you don't actually need the blink on Thor. So keep those types of things in mind. Most of the time, you're probably just going to be getting yourself the beads Aegis, but do keep in mind that you can get a nice team fight relic for your team. Now, I'm going to be looking for the Dodgy because I know her beads are down, land right on top of him. Unfortunately, he is going to get that ultimate off, which was really nice. I don't want to use my beads here. I'm gonna try to see if I can't follow up on Yamojo with a little hammer combo, but she's gonna stay too far away. So I just gotta get out of dodge. Really good Yamojo ulti right there. I land down on the ulti inside of the Yamojo, so I know I've got to immediately get out, so I've got to use my hammer as a getaway skill instead of the follow-up damage, which ends up saving her dodgy. Now I can back up. I'm actually gonna wait for this camp to spawn just so it's not on a weird respawn timer from my other buffs, and then I'm going to back up and we're going to get ourselves that Transcendence so we can get it stacking, and then we'll take ourselves immediately into that Heart Seeker for that auto damage follow-up. So kind of similar a little bit, besides the Transcendence, to like a Thanatos style of build. You'll probably end up having like this Transcendence instead of like an Erendite or something that a Thanatos would have. And then of course that Brawler's Basic could be that Jotun's Wrath. Preferably it's gonna be the Jotun's Wrath. That'll give you the early CDR, allow you to go for more ganks, all that kind of stuff. But when you gotta get anti-heal, you gotta get anti-heal. Healing doesn't seem too strong until you forget to get your anti-heal item, and then you remember why you buy your anti-heal item. You know what I'm saying?
Enemy spotted.
For gods that we want to pair with Thor, Thor does actually have good pairings.
Be careful. Trust me.
We want to pair Thor with big follow-up wombo combos. That is what we are looking for. Gonna actually use my ulti right here as a kind of defensive getaway skill, except for the dodgy is just kind of right here. So I'm gonna land back down on him, see if I can't grab myself a quick kill. Unfortunately, not gonna be able to, but I will just pop my beads, hammer myself over the wall. That last auto would have gotten the kill, but I just couldn't quite get the auto tag off in time. So in the mid lane, this is traditionally where you're gonna have that big follow-up damage, although it can come from your ADC as well. Thor has that like 2.5 seconds that he can stun somebody between his ultimate and his 2, which means that's a lot of opportunities for your team to follow up with a big Ra ult, a Poseidon ult, a Scylla ult, an Anher ult, whatever. Just some sort of big follow-up, traditionally an ultimate type of damage, because the enemy is going to be standing still, and it really synergizes well with the Thor, especially if you've got comms in like a ranked situation, or if you're queuing up with a group of buddies. You're like, okay, I'm Thor ulting middle. They're like, okay, you get ready, bada bing, bada boom. You land a massive combo and do a lot of damage. So you do want to pair him
Bet they don't have this item.
with gods that can follow up with big old abilities. You don't want no consistent damage output characters with Thor. You want those big ulti style follow-ups. As far as the gods that we're going against, because Thor isn't very meta right now, he probably has more characters that he's scared of than characters that he's not. Daji's actually a fine jungler for us to go against. We've got built-in CC immunity with our ultimate. We're going to be able to start off with beads instead of blink. No harm, no foul. Is probably actually one of the better gods for us to go against in terms of enemy junglers. A couple things you want to watch out for. Gods that are going to fight us super early. Thor's early game can be shifty. If you hit the hammer, that's fantastic, but it's also you getaway ability. So a god like a Thanatos can kind of just walk up to you and scythe you and then GG no re. That's kind of the end of that little engagement. So watch out for the super early game fighters. But unfortunately, you also have to watch out for the extra late game characters as well. Gods like Mercury, you can probably do well against early, but by the time it gets in the ultra late game and he's got crit in stuff going, you're gonna be in a much harder spot. So if you're going against an early game god, try to focus a little bit more on farming. Get yourself to that level 9 where your ganks really start to become strong. So that's if you're against somebody like a Thanatos, like an Arachne, somebody that wants to take the heat to you early. If you're against a late game god, somebody like a Mercury who wants to sit back and farm and get his crit online and then just ulti down the waves and just absolutely make your team's life miserable. In that case, what you want to do is you're going to want to go for the fights a little bit earlier. Try to use your wall to block off his dash, stuff like that, in order to put him behind. Because if you just try to do a level 20 race with him, you're probably going to lose the race, first of all, to 20, and he's also going to have the better level 20 regardless. So you're going to want to bring the heat early. You're kind of a mid-game character right now on Thor.
Be right back.
Also, we should mention early on in the game, you're probably going to be able to get away with just ulting into the enemy's backline and not really having to worry about it, right? Because you're going to be going and ganking lanes. There's going to be 1, 2, like 3 people tops. Once you get into the team fight stage of the game, you're going to have to be a lot more careful with your ultis. Especially if they know you're coming, if you're ulting predictably. Because then not only do you have to worry about missing your ultimate, you have to worry about even if you hit it, it doesn't matter because they were ready for you. And they preemptively had, you know, CC immune abilities ready for you. And then they just turn on you immediately. Especially because you are going to have this squishier build. You can go a more hybrid build on Thor. But honestly, I kind of feel like if you do that, you're losing the thing that makes Thor good, which is that mid-game burst damage with his hammer and stuff. So I'm going to go for a gank middle right now. I'm going to be looking back towards the Cupid. Going to land right on top of him, hit him with a little follow-up right there, and we're going to be able to immediately put him down, which is exactly what we're looking to do on Thor. So we ulti. Auto attack. 1, 2, auto attack. He is perma-stunned all the way until the hammer comes back and hits him again. Immediately brings him right on down, and now I'm going to go steal some of their jungle farm. Might even be able to come back around here in mid lane. Maybe look for some pickup kills, especially if that Merlin uses actives right there on tier, which I think he did. Unfort. Extra unfort. Triple quadra unfort. I am body blocked by minions. Thanks, minion. That was very kind of you. All right, we're level 19. We're almost level 15. So we're going to wait here for the protector of the jungle. I'm not going to buy any other items. I'm going to need about 300 gold in order to grab it. So we're just going to grab our sentry ward so we can put another ward out by the gold fairy or the fire giant. And then we'll be able to back up and grab ourselves the old protector of the jungle. All right. So obviously on Thor, because we are an assassin, we're looking for those characters in the backline. So we're going to be looking for whoever is the most problematic. This game, it's looking like my main target's probably going to be Merlin. Merlin seems to be doing the best on their team right now. And then probably followed up by the Cupid after that. Those are probably going to be my two main priority focuses. I've got a massive level lead on the Dodgy. So not really worried about her. Don't really want to use my ultimate on him. I'd rather force the beat off of somebody a little bit more important. Gonna immediately back up, grab that protector of the jungle. And we should probably group up and start looking for some objectives like the Gold Fury. We got ourselves a nice 5k lead at 21, which is not an insurmountable lead, but it is a nice lead.
Be careful. Enemies behind us. Ward here.
I'll throw down a little sentry ward right there just to get that counter going. I'm actually going to ulti right here. I might only be able to go land on the Dodgy, which is not my preferable target, but it's better than nothing. So I'm going to land right on him in the back, do a little follow-up stun combo, and I'm actually landing right by the Merlin, so I can kind of just W key right at him as well. And you can see I've got some very thick auto attacks. He's going to try to dodge my hammer, and he is going to do so. I got to be careful now with this Wukong, and I'm just going to kind of skadoodle myself to the other side of the jungle. So right there, even though Dodgy is not my preferred target, she is out of position. So I'm going to be able to land on him and burst him down 100 to 0. And at the end of the day, even though he's not technically the best target, if I can make a fight a 5v4, that's already a win, right? Like, it doesn't have to be maximum efficacy in order for it to be a good play. So we take the Dodgy off the table. Now they don't have a giant beads burner on their team. One less thing for our backline characters to worry about. So I just take the opportunity, and then I got a little bonus by being able to chase the Merlin right after it anyway. Boop. And right on back to farming. One thing that Thor is good at,
Enemy spotted.
Thor can be quite good against characters that don't have leaps. So this goes for characters that either have dashes like a Rama or no movement ability at all. Something like an AMC. Because you do have that wall, on Thor, you can block them off from going certain directions, so they're trying to escape to the mid lane. You just wall off the whole thing. Bada bing, bada boom. Now they're stuck there for the entire duration of that wall. Keep in mind, your wall is less reliable than, say, something like a Ymir wall. In two regards. One, you can't cancel.
On my way.
You
All
can't
units is
cancel
ready.
your wall, right? So if you make an executive decision on the wall and you goof it up, well, now it's goofed for the full 4 seconds. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be careful with it because you can hurt your team. You can't just bring it down like the Ymir wall. But two, the Thor wall has a interesting kind of delay type thing on it. And so they can like phase through to the other side of the wall if you're not careful. So I'm gonna ult the in right there, follow up immediately with my hammer. I'm actually gonna peel towards the back line. I don't want to go aggressive on that anymore, and I see that my Chiron is in trouble. The second this Wukong lands, I'm gonna try to hit him with my stun for my 2. And then immediately follow up with my hammer. He has to go for the beads, but hopefully that 1 and a 2 from Chiron should actually be enough to grab that kill. And then we can move over for the Fire Giant.
On my way.
Remember, if you're planning on using your hammer aggressively, that is your only getaway skill. So it can be a pretty risky play in order to use your ultimate right into your hammer. So you have to make sure your team is around for you to peel, or you got to make sure that you're using your hammer maybe in a direction that's going to hit somebody once, and then you're also going to be able to get out afterwards, right? Maybe you hammer, maybe you ulti slightly past the target, so then you can hammer back through towards your team, something like that. For our last item here, I'm just embracing that damage, of course, getting myself a Heart Seeker. Gonna give me some percent pen, which is nice. We've already got some flat pen with the Brawlers. We've got 20% CDR with our Hydras and our Transcendence. And then, of course, we'll have 30% CDR with our Red Putt online as well, which will be coming up pretty soon. If we do end up getting a 6th item, I don't mind getting a defensive item here on Thor, especially as you enter into the ultra late stages of the game. If you're planning on your game going 30 minutes plus, I often like to sell my boots and get a Mantle of Discord. I find that Mantle of Discord really opens up some opportunities with you. And with this particular build, it will also cap you out on that 40% CDR when you have your red pot, which is also nice.
Attack left lane.
If you did go the Jotuns earlier in the game instead of the Brawler's Beat Stick, because you didn't need the anti-heal for all characters basically that you get the early game Jotuns on, you end up selling the Jotuns in the late game, and you traditionally just exchange out that Jotuns for a Erendite. You're usually going to be overcapping CDR on junglers when you have that Jotun's Wrath. So you just sell it for the Erendite. It's going to give you a bunch of power. It's going to give you a bunch of damage, and it still gives you that little bit of CDR, with combined with the red pot usually puts you at that 40% cap. This game, we don't have to worry about it because we needed the Brawler's Beat Stick.
And if you want to be pro, you do this.
Something we had to consider. Should probably honestly just go grab the mid wave. Oh, I screwed up that so hard. I'm gonna just go for a little bit of poke here onto the Dodgy. Not gonna lie, he kind of scared me when I saw him. That is Dodgy Beach down. I'm gonna call for the attack left lane. We got Dodgy Beach. He's gonna have to back, so I'm gonna start ulting the. I'm waiting for Cupid to dash. There it is. Now I'm gonna land on him in the back line. Not quite gonna be able to hit it. I'm not gonna go in on that hammer because I do think he's probably gonna try to like Cupid ultimate. There it is. I'm gonna double bead right there on the Cupid ult and the Dodgy ult. Get a little 2x efficacy, and now I'm just gonna call for the attack middle lane. We've got creeps over there. I'll be able to burn down the tower quite quick as well with my Hydras proc. And we didn't actually kill anybody, so we do need to be a little bit careful. My target right now is going to be Cupid because I know he's got a lot of his stuff down, so I'm going to try to come in from the side over here on Cupid. See if I can't do a little combination. Unfortunately, they know that I am here. Gonna have to counter that ward again. Still just kind of looking for vision so I can get in on there. They're gonna have to defend those creeps and left pretty soon. Holy damage on Cupid. Batman Emoja's actually gonna get super pushed out by Tier. I'm gonna use my hammer to kind of get myself out of this combo that is coming my way. I see the Wukong in the background. I'm gonna try to stun him off of my Chiron. Now my ultimate is coming back up, but I don't really want to use it in view of the team. So I'm gonna call for the gank middle lane. I'm gonna head back out into the jungle so I can get into the air. I'm gonna look for anybody in the back line. There is gonna be the Cupid once again. I'm gonna follow up with that quick Hydras damage auto. Now I'm gonna follow back onto the Merlin, try to hit him with a little double tap. He uses his Aegis, so I'm gonna wait on that. I'm gonna pop an Aegis of my own, and I'm not actually gonna be able to kill him. And I got a Titan just beating on my cheeks. I am so slow. We only end up killing one person right there. I am gonna call for the attack right lane. We're super low, but we do have this wave of creeps over here.
Out of mana.
And so if we can put just enough pressure over here, we might actually be able to grab ourselves one last little Phoenix. Even if I die, that's fine. If we get this Phoenix over here, and it looks like we are gonna be able to get it. So that's a big win, and now we should back up. So right there, I assume that I'm probably gonna die for this Phoenix. But getting all 3 Phoenixes down basically guarantees your victory. 2 Phoenixes down is a really, really good spot to be in. But 3 Phoenixes down, we've all been 3 Phoenixes down at one point. We all know how hard it is to fight off that many fire minions, especially right now because the enhanced fire is about to spawn. It means that we're also going to get a free enhanced fire. So enhanced fire giant plus 3 Phoenixes down, that's pretty much going to be the W. So I'm going to grab myself that Elixir of Speed. I'm going to sell that Warrior Tabai, and I'm going to get myself working into that Mansion of Discord, which I probably won't even be able to finish this game. So instead of saving my money right now, I'm just going to grab that red pot as well. So that way I've got some of that bonus damage and CDR action. Now we just go ahead and attack the Titan after the fire giant. So they walk up. Ooh, they actually might try to contest this fire. It's not a horrible idea. At the end of the day, it's like, what are you gonna do if you give up the enhanced fire here? But it looks like no, they're not gonna be able to do it in time. I'm gonna look for a quick pick. Just see if somebody's trying to get a last second buff before something. I actually do see somebody over in duo lane. So I'm gonna head myself over here. I'm gonna try to stun him out. See if I can't grab a quick kill. There it is. Now I do need to be a little bit careful about the Cupid here, but I am gonna be able to grab that quick pick. I'm just gonna try to distract them from backing. I'm stopping the Cupid from backing. I know there was a Wukong back there as well, so we should be able to basically walk in towards the Titan. One of them is already dead. One of them's back was stopped, and a third of them wasn't close to begin with. And so now we're just gonna be able to walk right up towards this Titan and put this game away. So Thor really just comes down to properly utilizing those Hydras procs on your ganks, making sure you're farming in the early game to get that level 9. Once you've got that level 9, it is in fact hammer time. And then as always with Thor, you have to try to consistently land that ultimate. It's actually one of the harder abilities, I would say, to land in terms of like, it feels like it should be easy, but it's actually not. I mean, how many times have we seen pros miss Thor over and over and over again? So it is an ability that does require some practice with it, just to get used to hitting it, to get used to how people move and that kind of stuff because of the delay between actually landing. And that, guys, is our Thor Jungle Guide. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.